kindly fill out the yellow form, hand it in to us. Since you're handing in, you're up. You have 3 minutes. You're welcome.
Janine Hibbler,
Yeah,
Oak Creek resident on South Crane Drive. I am very excited. I want to thank you all for one of the agenda items that I see. You know, a lot of times parents complain, but I'm very optimistic about item number 8, the first reading of revisions to the harassment, discrimination, and Title IX policies. However, I'm in favor of it, and there are some gaps that I would love for you all to fill. Personally, last year I went through all the steps that are currently outlined on the district's website, and I was very disappointed in the process. I went through all 5 steps and started over multiple times and did not get the response that our children need. It wasn't about parents. Our children are suffering lots of harassment, racial slurs, people putting things in their hair when they have African-American afros, them being taunted because of the language on their shirts, which is very positive and affirming students of color. So I'm standing on behalf of students of color, and I want to say of color, but also Black, Indigenous, and people of color. So that's a BIPOC population that, as I look around this room, is not represented. There's 2 of us in the room that you can visibly see that would obviously be in that category. So one of my concerns is when you all are writing these policies, and this is not, you know, any type of attack against Mr. Hamlin because he's doing what is required, but where's the representation of those people you're writing these policies for? So to me, you need to talk to those parents. You need to be a part of what is happening in order to make sound decisions this board is going to vote on at the next meeting. And that, to me, is very disappointing. There's not a process in there to address when a person has a problem with the superintendent. So how do we file a complaint against the superintendent? And who follows up with the disciplinary action? Not only the superintendent, but those that are in his cabinet. The compliance officers are members of the superintendent's cabinet. So to me, that's a conflict of interest because they're all working there in cahoots. And last year, I was victimized by that process over and over again. So I don't want that to happen to anyone else. And due to what has happened over the last year, I pulled my daughter out of Oak Creek schools as of the last day of school. She's been here since she was born. And to feel the way that she felt, she said, "Mom, I can't continue to go through this process." She has been one of the advocates for BIPOC students that has spoken at many of the DEI parent advocacy meetings, and she felt that you all let her down. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to address the board? Okay, we'll recess formal portion of the meetings and right into action items. I need a motion for personnel.
So Niglia moves to accept the personnel as listed.
Raylan seconds.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Number 6 has passed. Number 7, I need a motion for the policy 132 and 133.
So Niglia moves to accept the resignation of Mr. Darren Gabrowski from the Oak Creek Franklin Joint School District Board of Education.
Raylan seconds.
Any discussion?
Just like to thank Darren for his time and service on the board.
The questions?
Yeah, just one quick comment, and I know Dan corrected this on board vacancy timeline and process. It originally said clerk authorized public notice of board vacancy and deadline of July 25th, 2024, submitting documents. And that was different than on the back page where it said July 18th.
18th.
So correct is July.
It is the 18th.
Yeah, just to clarify.
That correction was made.
Yeah, just to clarify.
I think because of what we're going to be doing so soon, there were some things that were somewhat confusing to me in how they were written, And since this policy has, like, 2016 was the last time it was looked at, I wonder if at some point in time, maybe we want to look at cleaning it up a little bit or making it a little less confusing. I don't think we have the time to do that right now necessarily, but I'm curious as to what other communities do and how they handle this.
Well, this,
so.
isn't this done by the, conducted by the,
Policies?
yeah, well, I mean, the input part of it. Yeah, that's what I thought, yeah.
What'd you say?
So a lot of the input on this that's included in this is from our attorney, so, from our corporate attorney, so.
Well, I mean, this policy was from 2016. So
Yeah,
we're not making any changes from that. I'm just,
Oh.
it's confusing. That's what I'm saying. Okay.
all right, any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Informational items, first reading of harassment, discrimination, and title policies.
We have to do the
Wait, we
second
didn't
part?
do. we
Oh,
didn't
I'm
do
sorry, I
number
forgot, I
2.
apologize. Policy 133, I need a motion.
So Niglia moves to approve the outline board vacancy process and timeline.
Raylan second.
Any discussion?
Come up to the mic.
I think it's not public input.
Access the school board process. As far as when somebody leaves a spot, as Cheryl said, where do I find this?
It's in the board policy.
And I'm sorry, where?
In the board policy?
In the board policy.
on-
So I go
online.
to the board policy and I find the access to the documents. So
Are you talking the documents to fill out an application?
where does this go from here? I mean, this is a big deal. We had a school board member leave, correct? So where do all of the citizens of Oak Creek access how to process this?
So if I could just jump in, so there's two policies that speak to this, policy 132
please.
and policy 133. And those you could find, they're in the situation report too tonight you can access from this meeting.
I could not access the agenda. Actually, I tried to, but I could not. So I will try to do that after. But yes, please.
If you can't access the agenda, if you go to, on our district website under school board, all our policies are listed under there. What the board is voting on tonight on the action item is the board vacancy timeline and process. So that timeline and process, as they vote on tonight, becomes formalized. That now gets released to the public in terms of the process that gets followed by which we fill this seat. So tomorrow, the clerk of courts, with the help of Jill Bebo, our executive assistant, will post, in essence, like a job description or a notice saying that it's open for the public that qualify based on the qualifications that are there, that are able to apply for this open seat for the board.
Thank you for that explanation. Thank you.
Welcome.
Just for reference, District Board of Education, agendas and minutes, committee meetings 6/24/24, and scroll down on that agenda. It should be available to anyone with the link. Go into item number 7, and then within that item, you'll see all the attachments.
I will be sure to check it out. Thank you.
Mike, did somebody second?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
My only, I guess, question or concern is, in the past, I don't believe we interviewed and made a decision, I think we interviewed everybody, but I didn't recall that we, that person, like, everybody waited and that we went and told that person that, yes, you're the new appointee, and then sworn them in that night. Are we going to have time to get all that done? I mean, that just,
Are you talking about between that and the election time?
the way I interpreted it, maybe I interpreted it wrong, it sounded like we were going to interview people and then make a decision that night, or hopefully make a decision that night, and that person would be told right then and there and would be sworn in then.
It would be on July 29th. It's stated in the timeline and process.
29th,
So,
it gets sworn.
so the 29th is when the interviews are gonna be, correct?
Yes, and
Okay.
then what's listed here, then it would go as an action item, then the board would vote on applicant, or to reappoint a replacement board member, and then that person would take the oath of office and be seated. That's the way it's stated right now, that's what you're voting on.
Right, and I guess I just, is it fair to the people that are being interviewed, that we're asking them to sit and stay and then get sworn in and get told in front of everybody that, you know, sorry, you're not it, this person is? It just seems, it's not how we did it before. So I'm just wondering, is there,
Yeah, so Cheryl's right. So it was almost like a job interview, individual based.
right,
Yeah,
I
it
think
was-
everybody had a time
But
slot.
then we went back and 2 weeks later said this person's it. Next week.
Yeah, there's a
it was.
60-day window according to paperwork.
Right,
Right.
right, but it,
So, I mean, it
That's what we did.
doesn't have to be done the same night. Interviews, I mean, the decision has to be made instantly, because if something doesn't turn out the way we anticipate with interviews, you've got total 60 days to make the decision, and it falls back on the second.
I guess prior we did do it like
I think we did. I talked to one person who we appointed, and that person said that they were notified later. So you know, from an interview process, the people being interviewed, is that really fair to them? If that's the way we choose to go, that's fine, but it just,
I would think you would want to know as soon as possible, you know, rather than
right, but
draw it out.
right, but that's a lot to ask. That's like if you go to a job interview, you aren't standing there waiting around to find out if you're getting selected. You know, you're asking people to sit and wait in this audience. It just seems odd to me. So if nobody else has any input, this is our time to discuss as a board, so I'm
You know
open
that.
to
I guess
listening.
everybody else, anybody other questions? Ma'am,
You
ma'am,
can't, this
do
is the
anymore.
board's
Yeah,
meeting, sorry.
so.
Well, I think that, we need to put someone in the position. I can see, we need to do it for the school year. You know, we need, I think drawing it out longer
Yep.
would just not be a benefit to us as a community. And so, I understand, Cheryl, your point, but I think if
And it's
sooner we can get them in place, the better.
And it's a really short time because in April they have to decide if they want to run again or they
Well,
don't.
that's why I was saying, I think at some point, we obviously don't have time now, but at some point to go back and look at these, because other communities, I think it's Franklin, they, if that position that's been vacated, if their election is coming up, then they just keep that as open until that position is filled via the election. Not saying that that's the way we have to go, but there's just different schools of thought, and maybe it's time that we go through some of these policies as a board and look at them. But like I said, I don't think there's time, I realize there's not time for that right now, but that was what was concerning to me when I was reading some of this stuff.
Yeah, and Cheryl, if I could just jump in real quickly too.
Sure.
Yeah, and what you referenced to, with regards to Franklin, that's, one of those, I guess, confusing things that we talked about in that one policy at the beginning, that
Right.
if the board doesn't fill this vacancy within 60 days, then another 60-day window occurs.
Right.
And if that 60-day window occurs in which the election would be held and a person would be selected, then that seat would remain vacant then until that person gets seated. So I don't know Franklin's policy. It's somewhat similar from that regard, but that's a 60-day window look back from around the election season.
And my personal opinion is, I think we need to fill it because it makes it an odd number. Sometimes you get a 4-3 vote. When you have 3-3, it gets tough. So it's nice to have the odd number up on there. My personal opinion. Any other questions? Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Grudgingly, aye.
And opposed say nay. All right, motion's passed. Our informational item, first reading and revision to harassment, discrimination, and title policies.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's Troy is coming to share that information.
Good evening. The federal government has made sweeping changes again to Title IX after implementing sweeping changes to Title IX a few years ago. So this time we have asked our law firm to draft some policies for us that will coordinate our student process, our employee process, and Title IX is now been updated to accurately reflect what the federal government says we must do. So terminology that you see in the various policies are taken directly from federal law. The processes that we're using are taken directly from federal law. Nothing in the policies are meant to tip to one side or the other of whatever spectrum you're looking at. It's meant to say exactly what the law says. So with that, we've updated and separated all the student policies in terms of harassment, bullying, discrimination, and then employee harassment, discrimination policies, so they all stand on their own, and then the Title IX, which applies to everyone, students and staff. Cheryl asked a question via email about these policies look different than some of our others in that we incorporate the procedure right into it. I think it's a great idea, and I think it's a better process, so we're not having to go from here's the policy and over here somewhere else is a procedure to follow it. This tells you and gives everyone an idea of here's what's going to happen if you file a complaint, here's the number of days, here's every step in the process, here's your appeal rights, everything is right there. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any other questions you might have.
Yeah, just for starters, this particular rule by the federal government is being challenged in 10 states. 2 federal judges have issued temporary injunctions against the implementation of this rule. I understand Wisconsin isn't one of them.
Correct.
So we're under that auspice. But I have a question too in terms of the training. If I was a staff member, I came in and asked the trainers as we implement this policy, if a transgender biological boy would come and say, I want to shower with girls, high school or middle school or wherever, what is our response in the training session to that staff member in terms of what is our policy? Is that to be allowed?
I don't think we've crossed that bridge at this point.
But we need to.
Yes.
I mean, we need to, because it could very well come up, and we need to have a policy one way or another. Certainly, I'm not in favor of that, and I doubt if the community is. That's just my personal opinion. But this basically says, with regard to, and that's what's been contested in these 10 states, as we go forward, I think that's something that we need to certainly talk about. That, or dressing in locker rooms, girls' locker rooms, transgender biological boys. We had upstate, I forget if it was last year or last couple years, where we had exactly that in the shower. Up in that area. So it's something that is really out there that we're going to need to address.
Yeah, I didn't see that part of the complaint in what the other states are challenging, and I think it was up to 12, if not more. I saw mainly the sports, participating in sports, as part of what those other states were objecting to.
But they're going to do that on a separate basis. Department of Education, my understanding is that they are going to, with regard to participation in sports, by transgender individuals in terms of crossing over from that standpoint, is going to be a separate role that's being considered right now. Right now, that's not part of what's being challenged.
Yes, and I will say this, if that situation arises, we will make the best decision for the kids and the community.
It did say in here that there would be, they would, provide supportive measures as reasonably necessary. And I know when we had our work study the other day, this topic came up, and the lawyers, suggested that, it would be a discussion between parents and and the administration about what exactly is the concern, what do they want, and they would work out a mutual decision on that. So, I mean, that's why I like the word supportive measures. I think that's a good starting point for what we have going on until we figure out what's happening in other states or whatever.
Other questions?
Any other questions?
I guess what was brought up in the public comments section is valid, and I did wonder about it, as well as what happens if someone has needs or wants to escalate past the compliance officer. What would happen? What would that? Who would that go to? Was that stated in here? Those kinds of things.
The policies are outlined right in there, and there's always at least an appeal from the original decision that's being made. So generally, it would be Bridget and myself doing the investigating and reporting. In our case, we've had the superintendent become the decision maker. And then if I believe there's an appeal process beyond that, where we then have to select, I think they call it an alternate decision maker.
Mm-hmm.
So we could decide who that would be.
Okay.
So it could be we hire somebody from outside to come in and say, take a look at everything. It could be we ask Mr. Paul to do it. We haven't had that happen
Would
yet.
that person that would be that alternate decision maker, would they have had training, something, specialized training? So would it, behoove us to make sure that we have several individuals in our district, or maybe it gets escalated to our legal, somebody from our legal department? I guess it'd be nice to have a plan for that in case this comes up.
Bridget and I had to go through quite a bit of training
Right.
The first time Title IX came in, and we're planning on training everyone coming up based on what the policy says. And you're right, whoever that is, in my head I'm thinking of a person that I work with that's a lawyer, not with a firm that works with us, that we could possibly use, because it would seem like we'd want to get outside of the district.
I agree. I
Yeah,
think
but
that would
not
be
have our law firm do it. So
true.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Right.
yeah,
Right.
that's what I'm thinking in my head.
Right. Again, that's the thing I guess I would want, I'd want that spelled out in our policy somewhere, that would be the next level, and that it would be a person who's not a part of our district or whatever, again, to give it that appearance that we're, trying to be as objective as possible.
Yeah, and I believe that is only in Title IX, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
There's only that level
That
of.
option.
Mhm,
Okay.
Correct.
Any other questions?
Have you heard from anybody else, Dan, about this? I mean, have other people read it, because I know I liked it. When I read through it, I was pleased to see it as detailed as it was. So have you heard from other people that have seen it, not necessarily board members, but others who have looked at it and said,
What I will say is it's pretty consistent with what a lot of the national norms are. ASA, WASB, all your major administrative groups are all pretty much in alignment with this. I don't want to speak for Troy, but I'm willing to bet a lot of people in HR circles are seeing very similar types of language, types of procedures put in place.
and as a board member, I would love, if it's okay, to have the opportunity to come in and observe the training of the staff, if we can be there on that day, I'm curious about it myself, so.
And I would say we're also curious what it's going to look like at this point.
Right.
So it's still officially June.
Mhm.